It's got more twists and turns and political trickery than House of Cards. Brazil's impeachment procedure against President Dilma Rousseff will go ahead with a vote in the lower house of Congress this weekend. Rousseff needs only 1/3 of lawmakers on her side to kill the motion, but she might not get them. She's facing a huge corruption scandal, historically low approval ratings, and a terrible economic recession. And her political enemies are going in for the kill. Pro and anti-impeachment camps are currently trying to win over lawmakers one by one ahead of Sunday's vote. So can Dilma Rousseff survive this? And what's best for Brazil? Those are the questions we're putting to my guest this evening. Gabriel Rocha Gaspar has joined us on set. You're a member of a citizen movement known as the 18th of March Democratic Movement. That was the recent date that was set for a pro-government rally, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, you're going to tell us why you support and in what capacity you support the government in just a moment. Ligia Moura Costa is with us, Brazilian author, lawyer, professor at Sciences Po. Now, although much of your activity revolves around commercial law and business dealings, it's the crossover with politics that's interesting. You've had to become interested in politics and the way they're run, not only across the continent, but specifically in Brazil. So you'll give us your expertise on that in just a moment. We're joined also in Washington by Juan Carlos Hidalgo at the Policy Institute on Latin America at the Center for Global Liberty and Prosperity of the Cato Institute. Thank you for joining us. We'll be looking forward to your expertise. But first, I must turn to France 24's very own Richard Thompson, who is in Rio de Janeiro. Richard, I think from the outset, what I need to ask you is just the general mood of the country at this moment in time. There are huge corruption scandals. We don't know if the president will still be in office a few months from now. Just how is the common man on the street perceiving this?
Well, I think with growing dismay and outrage, depending on which side you're on, of course, the pro-impeachment camp sees the government as inherently corrupt, and basically the anti-impeachment camp sees the process as an attempted coup, and basically whoever it depends who you talk to, but basically it's like that. It just depends which side you're on.
All right, and with respect to the decision yesterday by a congressional committee to give a green light for the vote this weekend, the impeachment vote, did that come as a surprise or not? No, it didn't come as a surprise. I mean, in fact, the government really saw the result as something of a foregone conclusion. However, it was hoping to have a bit more support than it did in the end. The MPs and the congressional committee voting by 38 to 27 in favour of impeachment. It's understood that a couple of members expected to side with the president didn't come through in the end. So this is a setback for Rousseff, but nothing more than that at this stage. Bear in mind that this vote was basically symbolic, and everyone's now looking towards the upcoming vote in the lower house. So this was kind of like round one, if you like, but the president hasn't been knocked out yet. So round two is the important round. Do we know which way that is leaning?
Well, on Friday, the lower house is due to meet for the first time, with the vote expected sometime over the weekend, probably on Sunday. And in the days between now and then, there's going to be a heck of a lot of horse trading as Rousseff tries to secure the backing of 1/3 of MPs in Parliament. That's how much she needs to stop the impeachment process. So what cards is Rousseff holding? Well, she has the power to dole out ministerial posts in her government, which could be incentive enough for some MPs to vote in her favour. But there are other jobs up for grabs too, lower tier government positions, and all some 600 posts that could provide the leverage to keep her in office. And there are believed to be about 100 of the 500-odd members of the lower house still undecided. And they could be the ones who tip this vote against Rousseff or indeed in her favour. So So those are the ones that Rousseff and former President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva will be courting, if you like, but behind the scenes, dangling those carrots in the days to come in the hope that they can tip the balance.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Thompson. The daggers are drawn in Brazil ahead of that vote, with the pro and anti-impeachment camps each trying to secure the support of a key number of lawmakers to win that vote. Now, the pro-impeachment camp needs 2/3 of votes in Parliament. The government will survive that vote if it can muster just 1/3 of the votes in Parliament. That's 172 votes. The government says it has 190 by its reckoning. There you go, the impeachment threshold. So according to the government's reckoning, it can just about survive that vote. We'll see, of course, what happens come this weekend. The question I'd like to ask now, and I'll put this one to Juan Carlos Hidalgo in Washington, is there anybody at this stage who is considered clean in Brazil? Because, of course, the Dilma Rousseff, even though the official reason for impeachment is not corruption, strictly speaking, her administration has been engulfed by this vast Petrobras corruption scandal. But all the people who are now trying to impeach her have also been charged or have been accused of corruption in various ways. So is there anyone right now in the Brazil political elite who comes across as clean?
It doesn't seem so. We hear the figure 2/3 a lot regarding this impeachment process, but another way to look at it is that 2/3 of members of Congress in Brazil are facing or are accused of criminal activities. So certainly...
that is a huge number.
That's a huge number. The Brazilian people are facing a corrupt political class. Nobody is clean here. Many of the people who voted to impeach the president in this committee are also facing their own corruption charges. The president of the lower house, the speaker of the lower house, has been found to have secret bank accounts in Switzerland and that he didn't report with millions of dollars. So indeed, I mean, like, Brazilians face a reckoning here, not only regarding their president, but also their entire political class. Some people say that removing Dilma won't help trying to clean up the political class, because Congress will still remain in place until 2019. But still, I think that will be a very necessary step in order for the Brazilian people, in order to start cleaning the house, in order to start bringing some decency and transparency to a political class that has been corrupt, not only now, but historically since the return of democracy.
All right, Ligia Moura Costa, just to make things clear for our viewers, the impeachment procedure that is currently targeting Dilma Rousseff is not actually directly connected to the huge corruption scandal that has had dozens of people arrested in Brazil, the Petrobras scandal. The impeachment scandal is about something slightly different.
That's right. That's right. The impeachment that is currently being examined by the Congress in Brazil is actually based on breaking the fiscal law and also in monitoring or changing a little bit the accounts of the government. So until now, this current impeachment does not mention anything about the car wash operation. However, there is
this is the name given in Brazil to the whole investigation into the Petrobras scandal.
That's right. I'm sorry, I should be more precise. Anyway, but there is another impeachment that has been filed by the Brazilian Bar Association that is still pending, because nowadays we are voting the current impeachment. And the other one that has been filed by the Brazilian Bar Association actually mentions some issues regarding corruption, but not yet all the issues regarding the car wash or the Petrobras scandal.
To be clear, there is a second impeachment procedure that is in the works.
There are
nine impeachment procedures
that are on they are waiting to be voted or examined by the president of the Chamber of the Deputies.
And does that mean if this one
But the most important one, it is from the Brazilian Bar Association, of course.
Okay. So if the current one, the one that's going to be examined this weekend, doesn't get a yes vote, if the president isn't impeached, Then you go on to the second one, and then on to the third, etc. And she has to survive 9 impeachment motions?
We don't know, because we do not know if the president of the Chamber of Deputies is going to accept the other impeachments. But in principle, yes, if he does accept all the 9, we will have to go on and on and on and on.
All right.
But all the others, the other 9s, I'm not saying that they are not nice or they are not good, but of course that the one that actually counts, it is this one that has been presented 10 days ago by the Brazilian Bar Association.
All right, Gabriel Rocha Gaspar, you're, as we said in the introduction, you're a member of a citizen movement known as the 18th of March Democratic Movement. You support the government. Why?
I don't support the government. First
You
of
don't?
all, the democratic movement, the 18th of March democratic movement, it supports democracy.
Okay.
We are opposition.
Who's on the
to-
side of democracy?
There you go. We believe are the voters, are the people, the 54 million people who voted for Dilma Rousseff. We are not supportive of her right-wing decisions or the way she conducted the economy since she was elected, because she took a turn that left their left-wing supporters, who were the people who brought her to the post, very, we might say, orphan, because she didn't turn for the social as we were expecting her to do.
You thought
So-
you elected a left-wing president, and you're saying that's not what you got.
That's it. Still, we don't see a reason for her to be impeached, and especially for those who are trying to impeach, by those who are trying to impeach Dilma Rousseff. For example, out of the 38 congressmen who voted for the impeachment yesterday, 35 are facing charges of corruption. And if we look at the 27 who voted against it, 2 are under investigation. So this is the process that will moralize the country. I don't think so. Actually, I believe the victim, in the outcome of this process, the largest victim will be the Brazilian people and the Lava Jato operation. Because
The car wash
once
operation.
we turn the car wash
Called Lava
operations-
Jato in Brazilian,
Yeah.
in Portuguese.
That's it. Because if we turn everything on PT as we are doing, and we ignore PT, the Labour Party of Dilma Rousseff, and we ignore the rest of the political field that's corrupt, and as our man in Washington said, it's 2/3 of the Brazilian political of the Brazilian politicians. Then once PT is out, then we no longer have a corruption problem. That would be a problem. And I don't believe that these people who are being prosecuted and are going to be in the next government will be the people interested in continuing investigating the corruption scandals.
So, okay, you're saying you support the democratic process, not so much the content of Dilma Rousseff's administration and her policies, but you support the democratic process, meaning that she was elected, she should be allowed to carry out her term in office, right?
As long as she doesn't commit a crime of responsibility, which is the reason why someone can be impeached.
All right, so you're saying you use the word responsibility because that's what's being debated right now. They are those who are accusing her of wrongdoing say she breached the laws, the Brazilian laws of fiscal responsibility. That means that, just to be clear, she's accused of having doctored public finances in an election year to make them look better than they were.
Yes, actually, in the first, you correct me if I'm wrong because you're the lawyer here. But in the first piece that was presented by the Chamber of Representatives President Eduardo Cunha, cited actually that she had issued more decrees than allowed by the budgetary law. Isn't it correct?
Actually, what has happened it is that in 2014, in fact, she has broken the law. However, 2014 is over.
Because
Her
she
mandate is
she
over.
used bank loans to
Yes,
make public
yes,
finances look
exactly.
better than they
And
were.
It is not allowed
temporarily.
yes, but temporarily a year. So
And it
it's-
was an election year.
Yes, and it was plus. It was an election year. Some
That's not
supporters.
what's at stake here.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
not at stake
because
here.
the fact it was in 2014. Her mandate is new. And according to the Constitution, we cannot consider the past. However, in 2015, there was still pending issues because the same procedure has been done in the first quarter of 2015. So that's actually the reason why, the impeachment files say that she has still broken the law. Not like in 2014. However, in 2015, the first quarter of 2015, she did it again. Okay.
No, it was about issuing more decrees than it was.
No, this is another subject.
That's what Queen presented in the first place.
You have two issues at stake. You have one issue that we called pedalada. I don't know how to say. It is actually getting money from the state banks. And not actually paying.
Yeah, using bank loans.
Yes, using banking loans. And the second one were the decrees, where she has changed the budgetary law in order to actually respect the law. Otherwise, she would be not respected.
Juan Carlos Hidalgo in Washington.
Yeah, one of the parts of the discussion on whether this is a legal move or a constitutional move or not, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the crime should have happened during the present term. It's not only during her presidency, but her present term. And the argument from people from the PT is that whatever maneuver, accounting maneuver that happened, it happened in her previous term, in the term that went from 2010 to 2014. And the Constitution says that the crime has to have occurred in the current term. So that term started in January 2015. So that's why it's important to know when she broke the law, whether it was when she in her previous term in 2010, 2014, on the current term. Apparently, there are reasons to believe that she incurred in the same maneuvers in her present term, and that's why this move to impeach her is legal. Now. It's interesting because the Supreme Court has 11 justices, eight of which have been appointed by governments of the Workers' Party, and they have been overseeing the whole process so far. They're not directly involved in the process. This is a pure political process, but they have been overseeing the process, and so far they haven't mentioned any inconstitutionality regarding the charges that President Dilma Rousseff is facing, and regardless whether it will be constitutional to submit her to an impeachment.
Well, obviously her political fate now is in the hands of lawmakers. So what's really going to matter is what they think and whether they believe she broke the law and whether they believe they want to keep her in office. We're going to be talking about whether Dilma Rousseff actually is getting a fair deal in just a moment, right after the break.